Welcome to the Strategy of the Week presentation for November 22nd, 2013. My name is Todd Shaffer, Manager of Research for VectorVest, and I'll be providing your strategy presentation this evening. Last week, we introduced our new and enhanced Derby tool. Our presenter, Mr. Jared D'Ambrosio, made an analogy to horse racing. Using the all-new RealTime Derby, you'll know which searches work consistently well in the past and at any instant during the day. This information is valuable to all of us, whether we're traders or investors. Additionally, with the technique I'll show you tonight, you can identify the horses with the best performance record, but not place your bet until after the race has started and your horse has shown its stuff. Honestly, the biggest challenge for me tonight is to keep it simple because of all the possibilities within this tool. I'll share some pointers throughout the presentation, but this is a very simple approach that should work for most prudent to prudently aggressive investors. So, let's get started. Well, first, we need a plan. Of course, any trading plan answers three questions: when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. When to buy is ultimately a question of market timing. Is the market currently bullish, bearish, or neutral? When should I make my initial entry, and when is it okay to replace positions? Ultimately, the VectorVest market timing system takes all the guesswork out and lets you know when it's safe to buy stocks, or short stocks, or buy contra ETFs, or maybe even stand aside. And what are the things we look for? Well, we give you guidance right at the top of our market timing gauge every day in the VectorVest homepage. We say VectorVest advocates buying safe, undervalued stocks that are rising in price at this time. We like to boil down our data into guidance. In the color guard, we give specific timing signals, starting with the primary wave, our fastest timing signal, followed by the price light in the price column, followed by that price light confirmed with the asterisk, which signifies the RT kicker confirmation. Next, you might see the DEW signal or the MTI cross from below 1 to above 1. And finally, our slowest, longest trend indicator, the confirmed call. And so at minimum, we know we want to see that primary wave be up for us to have a bullish bias. Once you know your outlook, and in this case you're bullish and you're ready to buy stocks, the next question is, well, what should you buy? The second leg of the trading plan. In VectorVest, we believe in buying rising stocks in rising markets, selling falling stocks in falling markets. The Unisearch tool has over 200 searches for all investment styles at your fingertips, including top VST stocks. One of the most common questions we get asked is, which search should I use, or which search is the best? Well, the answer to that question is different as each of us are as individuals. The answer is a search that fits your temperament as an investor and is making money. Up until now, to get that information, you'd have to manually run quick tests on each search in which you're interested. And for beginners, we'd often steer you toward the temperament group that matched your investment temperament. But now, enter the VectorVest Derby and the Tote board. Our latest improvements will dramatically improve this process, particularly for those who hold their positions over time, for instance, non-day traders. The VectorVest Derby and Tote board analyze over 180 of our best performing searches continuously. The Tote board gives us a store of performance and quickly shows us which searches have worked in the past and which searches are working right now. As to when to sell, whether you want to optimize your trading plan in the backtester and automate stops, or simply manage your portfolio manually, the automated portfolio manager tracks your portfolio performance in real time. And these are the building blocks for tonight's presentation. I want to make tonight's presentation very practical. I'm going to pretend that it's after the market close of last night, and I've come home from working very hard at VectorVest, and I log into the software to see what happened in the market today. Looking at the home page, I see that the primary wave has changed back to up, and I have a green light in the price column. How could I use this new Derby tool to help find stocks to trade tomorrow? I want to identify searches that have been performing recently, but first I need to specify a time frame. So let's move into the market timing graph. Here we have a market timing graph, price of the VectorVest composite only, and here we have today's big up market day, which followed 3 days of pullback action. I'd like to know which searches have been working consistently, so I want more than just 1 day's performance. So how much you need is up to you. The Tote board offers up to 3 months. I just want to have enough data to get a feel for the current market. So I'm going to go from our previous low back here on November 7th up to current. So off I go to the new Tote board to do my analysis. We begin in the Derby view, so let's change that from market open to prior close. And let's change from the Derby view, which just shows us today's performers, to the Tote board. The Tote board by default opens up in the day trading analysis mode with a 5-day date range. So the first thing we want to do is change the date range back to be the 7th through the 21st. And we're going to change from day trading mode, which is simply a compilation of 11 one-day tests, to buy and hold, which was our first method of analysis. And this is where the Tote board really shines. As we discussed last week, we can analyze the performance of all these searches from 3 perspectives: buy and hold, vary the start date, and a sliding window. By using all 3, we can avoid one-hit wonders, or a search that just happened to do well on that one particular day. So we're going to look for the top 5 searches in each category and look for overlap or repeat winners. Let's start with buy and hold. Buy and hold is just like a quick test. We buy 10 stocks on the start date and hold them through the end date. By default, they sort by largest gain, but I want to confirm that the search type is consistent with my outlook. I'm bullish. That the number of stocks is 10, so that it actually found 10 stocks, where Southern Comfort only found 2. And I have the best combination of total gain and efficiency. To the right of my table of data, I have the Derby summary, which is summarizing the winners and losers for the bullish and bearish searches using this buy and hold methodology. In other words, within this results table, 78% of the bullish searches made money, where only 20% of the bearish searches made money, a confirmation of the trend during this analysis period. Closing the Derby summary, let's focus on the data points. We're going to skip Southern Comfort because it only had 2, so we'll have Best New Highs Bear Market Beaters, the Comeback Kids Derby Ready, Jailbreak No Contra ETFs, Russell 2000 RT, and Aggressive. I can quickly scan the data points and see that I have a nice balance between the total gain and loss, the drawdown, and the efficiency score. And if I scan quickly, I notice this high efficiency score of 81 pops out for hot smoothies. So I might write that down too as an alternative. But let me pause a moment and point out that I am trying to keep this presentation simple. At any point, or multiple points, you can do additional work to screen or vet these candidates. For instance, if I click on Best New Highs BMB, here's all of the stocks that are in the portfolio, how each of them did individually. I had 9 winners, 1 loser, and I have the equity curve, and of course we always favor bottom left to upper right, the smoother the better. You also have full right-click functionality within the list of stocks. Simply right-click and that list you're used to seeing pops up, so you have full functionality here. You can also show a description of the search to see what the search parameters are, or even take these stocks right into a quick folio. But as I said, we're keeping it simple and mechanical tonight, so we're just going to move on from here. Now that I have the top 5 buy and hold searches, let's change our analysis mode to vary the start date. In this mode, we change the start date 1 day at a time, keeping the end date constant. Here we're looking for consistency of performance, which is why this is the most important or the most heavily weighted of the tests. Based on that methodology, we see our Derby summary again, 83% of the bullish searches making money, 25% of the bearish searches making money in this time frame, confirming our trend analysis again. Minimizing the Derby summary. Let me drag this over a little bit so we can see the efficiency scores. Again here, if you click on the search, you'll see the performance for each run. Again, we're looking for consistently good performance. Those numbers are rolled up and averaged into that data line. Again, we're looking for the best performing searches that are of the right type, consistently finding 10 stocks. And so we note bottoms up, Russell 2000 RT, Best New Highs BMB, Jailbreak No Contra ETFs, and dividend plays. I wrote those 5 down and noted the doubles. And again, you can spend some time here and do as much research as you like. But next we'll move on to our third mode, the sliding window mode. In sliding window mode, we specify a holding period, in this case 3 days by default. And so we'll vary the start and the stop date of these 3-day holds 1 day at a time. And so we have a 3-day window sliding through this time frame from November 7th to November 21st. Here we're trying to randomize our entry and our exit. I must have a holding period shorter than my test period, of course. Well, we've set that default to 3, but the longer the date range, typically the longer your holding period would be. Again, let's record the top 5 performers who are of the right type and consistently find 10 stocks. To do that, I'm going to move my Derby summary, which is still confirming my bullish trend from this analysis. And it looks like we have bottoms up, jailbreak no contra ETFs, Blyer's bottom feeders, the comeback kids Derby ready, and aggressive. So I add those to my list, noting the duplications. As I review my list, I had 6 searches that were repeated. And so to break the tie, I'm going to give more weighting to the variated start run. So with that, my list of top 5 performers then is as follows. Bottoms up, Russell 2000 divided by RT, best new highs, jailbreak no contra ETFs, and aggressive. With that list of top 5 performers in my hand, I now want to move to the Unisearch tool where I can do further analysis and build my quick folios. Up to this point, I've been very mechanical in an effort to try to keep this very simple. But you know, the market's closed and the night is young. I can do as much analysis as I like, including looking at the VectorVest analysis of the individual stocks or looking at graphs, maybe looking for stocks that have Colt 45 layouts. So the sky's the limit as to how much analysis you want to do to get good candidates in your portfolios. Now we have our list of the top 5 performing search candidates to analyze. I could, to keep it very simple, just take the top performer and move on. But I also recognize that that doesn't allow for or incorporate your temperament as an investor trader. So in our example, our best performing search was bottoms up. Well, bottoms up is in the search's bottom fishing group. If I scroll down a little bit and click on it, here are the search results. We're simply looking for bottom RT industries, stock price greater than $1. So that's Derby ready. If I run the search, and let's minimize the search window here, I am getting some low dollar stocks here, some of them with fairly weak fundamentals. And so the point is, yes, I've identified that this search has been working well in the current market, but if it's not in my comfort zone to trade a $1.47 stock that's really worth 78 cents, I may be more comfortable with a different search that was perhaps a little bit further down on the list, although still performing, or I might want to cherry pick from this list to eliminate some of those stocks that I'm not comfortable trading. Again, I can also look at some of the VectorVest analysis, and I can look at some stock graphs, look for some Midas Touch or Colt 45 stock graph patterns, and cherry pick the list from there. No matter which of those processes I incorporate, the point is at the end of that process, I want to add those vetted stocks to a quick folio. So I simply come to the toolbar, let's quick folio the top 10 in this case, and we need to give it a name. So let's call this number 1 bottoms up, only because it was our best performer. I'm going to purchase long, not assess any commissions at this point, and then click OK. This loads our selected stocks into a portfolio so that I can track them from the market open and favor the stocks that are moving up with the market. And of course, Jerry demonstrated last week how we could load multiple portfolios and cherry pick from those portfolios the stocks that were making the best gains. Another variation would be to buy the portfolio that's making the best gains. But tonight we're keeping it simple. We're just going to go with our top rated portfolio. But before we do that, we need to do some back testing to figure out the best money management for this portfolio moving forward. So we'll open that portfolio later, and let's move over to the back tester. And once we're in the back tester, let's back test an idea. We'll leave our account settings at their defaults. For the market timing, we're buying in on the green light, so let's use the green light buyer timing system. Of course, to automatically load that timing system, you do have to have the auto tester. It's an additional module, but it is available on a 2-week trial, so you can try before you buy. That timing system has 3 conditions. When we get a green light, that's the up condition. For those rules, we'll click on that square, and we're going to use our searches bottom fishing bottoms up. We'll set our stop criteria at 50-20. Simulating intraday stops. For more settings, we'll go with 10 positions in the portfolio, automatically replacing those positions. We'll open all 10 immediately. We don't want to close any open position when we get to those green lights. We'll invest our average value per position, odd lots. Let's limit our repurchases for the wash sale rule. Set that at 31 days. And the maximum percentage of a stock's average volume set at 2%. For the rules down, we'll go to cash. And for neutral, we'll take no action. For our test period, we'll go back for about a year to get a couple turns here. Let's go to the first green light after our confirmed down call, which would be here on November 5th. And we'll run through current. And let's give it a name. Bottoms up 50-20. And we'll click finish and run. So what I'm accomplishing with this back test is I'm saying, okay, I have a strategy now that's been working well in the past 11 days. But if I go back over the past several market cycles, what was the best combination of stop criteria to manage this search? Looking at our results, here we see we had a total gain of 54.92% with a 52% winning trade percentage. We had $1,300 in commissions. We had an average annualized rate of return at 52.65%, and we had a maximum drawdown of 13.3%. Looking at the equity curve, I see that I did underperform a little bit for the first third of this test, but if you remember, the market period at the beginning of 2013 was an overbought market period, so I'm not surprised necessarily that a bottom fishing search didn't perform very well. But on the successive market turns after that, it did do very nicely. Another modification I might make to the trading plan that can help me with some of this volatility is to reduce the number of positions. So let's strike a copy. Instead of trading a 10 stock portfolio, let's see how a 5 stock portfolio does. Open all 5 and let's call this 5 position. We'll click finish and run. And we did see a nice improvement. Here we increased our gain to 72.9%. Percentage winners stayed about the same, going from 52 to 54. Our commissions, though, were cut in half. Our annualized return went to 69.89%. And we did have a little heavier drawdown, going from 13 to 14.7% on our drawdown, but we did pick up 18 percentage points for that additional exposure. And so let's recap up to this point. We identified a bullish market condition. We identified a search that's performing well in the current market condition. We created a quick folio of potential stock trades for the morning. We'll watch them from the market opening and see which ones are moving and potentially take those positions with market follow through. And we've optimized our performance over several market turns using the back tester. So now let's take a look at the payoff. Here we are in the portfolio manager, and you can see the quick folio that I created for bottoms up, but I also created one for each of the other 4 searches that were in our top 5. Had I been trading bottoms up today, once I confirm market trend, I'd simply buy the stocks that were rising in that uptrend. And to keep it fair, I included all 10 positions that were the search result here, but they were up at 1.82% from last night's close. In fact, if we look at all of the portfolios, they all had positive gains on today. Some are more volatile than others, to be sure. Some made better gains, But the point that I'd like to make here is that we are not day trading here. Our goal is simply to make a good entry on some great stocks. It's much easier to start with positions that are profitable than to be immediately trying to mitigate losses. We saw ultimately in our backtest how well bottoms up has been doing in the past year. But also, if you used a cherry picking approach for these portfolios, you had some good opportunities on the individual stocks to make some nice gains. And the last piece of the puzzle is you're already set up to segue nicely into managing this portfolio by simply clicking on Manage Portfolio and setting up your management criteria, which in this case I'd simply import from my backtest settings. Now, of course, I'd want to adjust my cost basis so it accurately reflects my cost basis with my brokerage. So I'd simply go to the transaction log and edit the log so that my costs match my brokerage statement. And it's as simple as that. Of course, there are thousands of approaches that we could take with this new tool, some of them easier, some of them more complicated. But I wanted to take the opportunity tonight to demonstrate that you don't have to be a day trader to get benefit from the Derby tool, and especially with our new Tote board function. If you have any questions about our presentation tonight, I invite you to join our webinar on Monday. We'll have a live Q&A webcast at 2 o'clock. They tend to be pretty freewheeling, so we can answer just about any question you have about the VectorVest system. Of course, we'll try to focus on the strategy first. To register for that event, simply go to www.vectorvest.com. On the Events tab, you'll see the webinars listed. Simply click on the Register link. I look forward to seeing you there, but for tonight, that'll wrap up our strategy presentation. Thank you for your kind attention. I wish you a very pleasant weekend.